You know, there has been a lot of discussion over the last couple of weeks about the way I communicate. You know, most of the time it works out pretty good. Every once in a while, when you don't work with a script, things don't go so well. And you got to know when you make a mistake, you got to say you're sorry for it, and I did this week. Because I made a mistake, didn't say something the way I really meant to say it. I understood what I meant, but I'm inside my own head, and you're not. And so, you know, you got to know how to deal with those things, but let me explain to you why that is in the end. You know, we all are a product of where we come from, right? Each and every one of us. Whether we like it or not, we're a product of where we grew up, and we're a product of who raised us. And so, I had a Sicilian mother and an Irish father. Yeah, a lot of people with the knowing shakes of the head out there. You know what that means. My father, who is 79 years old, lives down in Ocean County now, is outgoing, gregarious, backslapping. He didn't know you for 2 minutes, he's hugging you. He's just this really outgoing, wonderful, kind guy. My mother, who passed away now nearly 8 years ago, was Sicilian. Now, what this means for their marriage was that my father was merely a passenger in the automobile of life. There was no doubt in our house who was running the show. Mom was running the show. And my mother had a very direct way about her. I have told lots of stories about my mother over time, but she was someone who did not deal well with ambiguity. She was not someone who took to BS kindly, and she would call it out very directly. And one of the things she used to say to me all the time, and to my brother and sister, was, just be yourself, because then tomorrow, you're not going to have to worry about remembering who you pretended to be yesterday. And it was great advice. You know, she said sometimes people are going to like it, sometimes people aren't, but be who you are. And so this is who I am. And the last message she gave me before she died is the best instruction I could tell you about who I am. You know, she was in very bad shape. She died from lung cancer and died very quickly. She was diagnosed on Valentine's Day, and she passed away on May 3rd. So it went very fast, and I was out in California at a conference, and my brother called me. She was in the hospital and said, listen, like, it's gone bad really quickly. You need to get home right away if you want to see her before she dies. So I got on the red-eye flight from San Diego, and I flew directly back to Newark and got in the car and drove to St. Barnabas Hospital in Livingston, where she was. When I got there, they'd already started to give her morphine because she was in a lot of pain. And so she was kind of coming in and out. And any of you who've gone through this know exactly what I mean. It's really an incredibly difficult time. And so I was sitting by her bed, and finally she came to. And she looked at me, she said, what day is it? And I said, it's Friday. And she said, what time is it? And I said, it's 9:30 in the morning. And she said, go to work. I was U.S. attorney at the time. And I said to her, nah, I decided to take today off. I'm going to spend the day with you. She said to me, it's a work day. Go to work. And I said, Mom, you know, what are you worried about? Not getting your taxpayers' money's worth? Like, I'll make up the time. Don't worry about it. And she reached over and she grabbed my hand and she said, Christopher, go to work. It's where you belong. There's nothing left unsaid between us. Now, you know, that's where I grew up. My mother told us right from the beginning, say what you think, say what you feel, and then you'll have no regrets. You'll mess it up every once in a while, and I do. And when I do, it's my job to apologize for it. But you'll never have to wonder what I think. And you won't have to wonder who I am. And it comes from her. Because then, at the end of her life, she was able to give me the great gift of looking me in the eye and saying there's nothing left unsaid between us. Now, that's what she taught us we owed each other in a trusting relationship. If you really trust somebody, you have to tell them everything. Be open. Let them know who you really are. If she were here today, I know that she'd be telling me that's what I owe all of you. You gave me the greatest sign of trust you can give other than the person who marries you. You went in and voted for me to be the leader of the state where you live, where you raise your families, where you work. And that kind of trust merits in response absolute trust from me to you to tell you exactly what I think and how I feel. And so there are going to be some of you in this room who didn't vote for me last time. And if I were to run again, there'll be some of you who won't vote for me next time. But the one thing you won't be able to say at the end of this 4 years is that you didn't know me, that you didn't know how I think or how I felt, that you were unsure about my position on a particular issue, that I didn't tell you the truth. Sometimes I'll tell you things you disagree with, and sometimes I'll tell you things you don't want to hear. But you will never wonder, at the end of it, whether there's anything left unsaid between us. There won't be. And so sometimes that's good, and sometimes it's tough. Sometimes I do it really well, and sometimes I can do better. I'll promise you I try to do it as best I can every day. And on the days when I don't do it well and I know it, I'll say I'm sorry for it. But we need to work together in this state to make it a better place. So I end today by saying to all of you, thank you. Not just for being here, but thank you for giving me the greatest privilege I'm sure I'll ever have in my life. And that's to be the governor of the place where I was born and raised. I will tell you, I'm going to leave here and go back to the State House. I'm going to drive up to that building with the big gold dome on the top of it, and I'm going to walk in the door and see my name on the door and still shake my head. I do, every time. How the hell did this happen? The Democrats down the hall are asking that all the time, too. All the time. But I want you to know I'm never going to lose that sense of wonder. Never. I am the luckiest guy in the world to have the chance to do this. And so I want to thank you because you're the people who helped to make it happen. And so every day I'm going to work as hard as I can to make you proud, not only of me, but more importantly, of where we live and who we are as a state. And if you work with me on that, I'll work with you. And I know at the end of these 4 years, we're going to be a better place than we were when we started 2 years ago. So thank you all very much.